Welcome to the channel, Leah.
Thank you so much for having me, Mercy. I'm happy to be here.
Leah Lewis is the founder and principal of the Diamond School of Elegance and Chivalry, a premier finishing school in her home country of Trinidad. She's also a public health professional, educator, singer, and author of today's book that we'll be speaking on called Elegance from Within. Leah, you're dedicated to instilling the timeless values of grace, sophistication, and character in the hearts and minds of many around the world. Why is that?
Mercy, if you really think about it, how humanity is changing, things that are valued and seen as timeless can only truly be timeless if it's taught, if it's passed down from one generation to the next. And we see that how we're changing now, we're becoming so technically advanced, technologically advanced, and people are struggling somehow to have meaningful connections, interactions that are respectful, even knowing who they are and carrying themselves in a way that shows that sense of identity. So I saw a need in our society, and we live in a global society, so I see the need for sharing these types of values. They're timeless because human interactions don't change. Yeah. So that's why I decided, you know what, I want to do this. I want to make my contribution to help people be better.
Definitely, definitely. Because when you're on social media, you can like get influenced by different people from all over the country. And some of that influence, as we can see when we're online, there's kids who are doing things to the detriment of themselves, to harm themselves. So always like finding a way to instill it in, today's world is I think such a wonderful thing that we shouldn't lose. We shouldn't lose the art of how we carry ourselves because it's something that should be in place. And I just think this is so wonderful. Now back to the Diamond School because you started the School of Elegance and Chivalry where you train dozens of men and women and young persons in the areas of elegance, social etiquette, and personal development. And you're very dedicated to instilling timeless values of grace and sophistication in the hearts and minds of many around the world. So tell me more about that school.
Yes, the Diamond School of Elegance and Chivalry was founded based on the need that we just said, seeing young children as well as teenagers and even adults with the desire to become the best versions of themselves possible, but not knowing exactly how to get there. Like knowing who they are. Because if you ask the average person, who are you? Most people can't even give a response because they have to stop and think, who am I? What do I like? What do I not like? What's my background? What's my heritage? What's my vision, my goal for my life? So this is so much more than just an outward aesthetic. This is development from the inside out because only when we live from that point of identity, knowing who we are and of course who we are, who God says that we are, because I truly believe in knowing that we're not alone, in this world, that we have someone else to account to, that is someone who created us and who has a purpose for our lives. We can't just live, go through life, it has to have meaning and purpose and value, but it comes from within us. It starts from the individual. So that's what the Diamond School of Elegance and Chivalry is all about, developing young minds, boys, girls, and even adults, helping them to truly come into that sense of identity and worth of who you are as diamonds, because diamonds are highly valuable. So I make sure to let them know you are diamonds, you are highly valuable. So yes, that's what it's all about.
The school is so important because there's so many children who then become adults who realize when they encounter other people in their age group that they lack something that they have and they never had someone teach them that from a young age. So schools like yours are so important. Okay, now what's one lesson that you teach at the school that always sparks that aha moment in your students?
Yes. Well, Mercy, I would say it's more than one lesson. It's because for the signature course that we do, it's 3 months long. And at the midpoint of the program, after the first month, we do a month-long deep dive into personal development. So for 4 weeks, we actually do a deep dive into self-esteem development, looking within, creating that sense of personal identity, and then also coming into emotional intelligence and inner healing. So most people who come into the program, they're like, what? I did not expect this. So that actually becomes the make or break point, because at some point it gets uncomfortable, because we want to look good on the outside and we want to put on this good image, but do we really want to heal ourselves? And that's the only way that we can truly exude beauty from the inside out, if inside is beautiful. And I work on helping them to see that inner beauty, men and women. But not everyone makes it. Some people can't face it. When they get to that point, they're like, oh, this is too much for me. And some fall away. But those who want to press past during that hump in the program is like a transitionary point. When they get past that point, you can really begin to see the changes. It's more than just life skills now. They start seeing themselves differently and thinking differently. And that's when true change really comes. So that's the moment. That point of looking inside, it changes all of them. It's like, ooh, this is hard, but I want to do it. That's what gets the students every time.
Yes, true change and transformation has to come from the inside out. So that's amazing that you do that. Now, in the book that you wrote, you teach the reader how to strengthen their emotional intelligence and how to master poise and handle life's challenges with grace. So, why don't you tell us more about that?
Yes, absolutely. Emotional intelligence is so important. When we can manage how we feel, being able to identify at any point in time what is triggering this emotion, whether it's positive or negative, how we are able to interact with other people, and also being sensitive to other people's emotions. Why are they the way they are? Why do they do the things they do? If we can truly learn to develop that and understand that not everything requires a response. Not everything requires us to be triggered naturally to act out the way we usually would, unless we stop and think, should I say this? Is this response necessary? Does it even require a response? You stop and you think, because you're a little more self-aware of your poise, how you carry yourself, even your tone of voice, how you speak to someone. It makes a huge difference. But if we're not aware of it, then, most people who may not be very emotionally intelligent, we're not sensitive, not even to ourselves or other people. So that puts a damper on relationship development, of how we truly choose partners, friends, and even navigate with family and co-workers. It's all about having good relationships. So for an elegant woman or a gentleman who is becoming more refined, relationship is so important. So that's why we look at emotional intelligence. It's part of that refining process, as we were talking about earlier. Yeah, so I see it as a need.
I like what you said. You said that not everything requires a response, but some of us go through life thinking that we have to react to absolutely everyone who we disagree with, but that's not the case if you want to be a person, a man or woman of poise. Because when you're on social media, there's a lot of people who encourage, clapping back, and you can see that when you see that online, you're like, okay, it might be funny, but in reality, you wonder, don't they care about how they're coming off? And I think it's such an important thing that we need to be reminded of, that we don't have to react to absolutely everything. So, what do you do? What do you say to the people who, okay, they've started making this change, okay, and they've implemented it, but they see themselves, reverting back to, okay, now they're blowing up at absolutely everything. What do you say?
Elegance is a journey. So we can't expect an immediate change. Give yourself time. It's because in any change that's happening, let's just say we have a health goal, for example, and we want to change our diet, we want to eat more nutritious food. Let's just say we just see that pizza and that day we just couldn't resist and we have the pizza. It happens. You know what? You just recollect, you recalibrate, and you try again. Give yourself space to make mistakes. Don't be too hard on yourself. But you will fall at some point, but you don't quit. So you recognize, oh, I lost it. Now you know, because before you would not have recognized why you behave a certain way. But now that you have the knowledge and you're trying to implement it, something triggered you. Now you can identify, why did I react that way? Now you know how you can work on it so you can become better. It's all about getting better. So that's what I would say to them. Don't be too hard on yourself.
The journey to elegance is definitely a process, and we ought to have, give ourselves that grace that we need. So, in the media, there's already been showcases of what we can call, I already talked about this, like lack of decorum. There's countless videos of people acting out in public places like airlines, stores, and those are just some examples. But what are some key points of behavior to always remember when we're out and about and we're trying to live a life of elegance?
Yes, well, simple things. Now, I'll say, let's look at your posture to begin with. Yeah, looking at your posture, the way that you sit, the way that you stand, even the way that you walk and you carry yourself, it says something about your level of confidence. It says something about how you see yourself, even your mood in that given moment, because body language is important. Now we can see with femininity when we are being soft and we're relaxed. We can see when we're being rough or extra tough. We can see when someone is sad. You can see when someone is angry. Body language speaks. So just to be aware of your body language. So the simplest thing that you can look at is your posture. Hold yourself up. Yeah, because it says something about how you see yourself. Another thing that we can look at, even the way that you dress. Now, the way that we adorn our bodies from head to toe, it says something about how we value ourselves. Now, because that's an outward expression of who we are. The way that we see ourselves is the way that we dress and adorn ourselves. Now, we also attract that kind of respect to us based on how we're dressed or how we carry ourselves. Now, if you are dressed in a way that says low self respect, then that's the kind of treatment that we're going to attract to ourselves. That's how it works. Now, if you carry yourself and you dress yourself in a way that says, I respect myself and I see myself as being highly valuable, then that's also the kind of interaction you're going to attract from other people. People will want to respect you more. We see it all the time. So that's one thing. So the way that you carry yourself, yes, the way that you dress, even your tone of voice. As ladies, we can be soft yet strong. Softness does not mean weakness. Now we can interact with someone now when I say soft, I mean being kind, respectful, and showing that grace in how we interact with others. We don't have to be rough. We don't have to be loud or abrasive or crass. Even if someone is insultive toward us, it's how we respond to them that shows a level of class. Now that's something that takes work because we're not born that way. We learn those skills. So it's necessary for us. Carry yourself like you see yourself as being valuable. Dress yourself as if you see yourself as being of high worth and value. Speak in a way that says that you're respectful. Yes, and even your tone of voice, it says something. So those are some things when you're out and about. They're little, but they make a huge difference in your personal interaction and even your outward perception, how people see you and value you. So I'd stop there. There's so much more, but I'd stop there.
I'm sure there's so much more, but I love all the points that you pointed out. Make sure your posture is straight because these days we can already see what hunching over our devices has done to the posture. There's people hunching over. So we have to remember, hey guys, let's stay upright. Maybe find exercises that can help you with your posture. And again, we have to remember, like you said, we've got to put our best foot forward. And when it comes to dressing, that's one place that we've got to pay attention. And yes, we all do have like our own individual styles, but we also have to remember that we teach people how to treat us. So maybe present yourself in the best light despite your style. And what you said about how we speak to others, I love that because it reminded me of the scripture verse that says, a gentle word turns away wrath. So it's a good thing to remember that biblically, Jesus tells us, hey, you're in a situation where everyone's up in arms, but what if you try to remain calm and speak gently? Okay, so another topic you wrote about is about setting healthy boundaries in order to honor our words. So let's delve into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we begin mostly by thinking of what is our worth? What do we see ourselves as? Do we see ourselves as being worthy of good things, worthy of kindness, blessings, all of the good things that God has for us? Are we worthy of respect? Are we worthy of love? Because that comes from our self esteem. Of course, how we see ourselves, thinking that we're good enough to receive good. Because many times a lot of people don't see themselves, I don't deserve that, that's too good for me. So they automatically reject that respect or anything good that may be coming their way. They push it away because they think to themselves, I'm not good enough. That sense of insecurity and inferiority. So it's important for us to build up that sense of self value and self worth, knowing to yourself, I am valuable. I am worthy of being respected. I am worthy of good things in this life. And when you begin to see yourself in that light, now you know the kind of treatment that you deserve from other people. So you're going to set healthy boundaries. You're not going to allow people to speak to you in a certain way. You're not going to allow people to treat you a certain way, to abuse your time, to take advantage of your demeanor. Let's just say you may be soft spoken or quiet or introverted. Yeah, naturally, some people have a tendency to want to take advantage. Now you see yourself as being more worthy, and you said, you know what? You learn to say no. You learn to put some distance between yourself and people who may be seen as toxic. You know, those who may negatively criticize you, bring you down, discourage you, laugh at you. You distance yourself from people like that. You choose to surround yourself with people who will bless you, bring you, help to bring you up, bring you forward, encourage you, run with you. Now, all of that comes from seeing your worth. Now, that's what I would say to that question, Lucy. It's all about our inward perception. When we develop that sense of worth, now we can put boundaries to teach people how to treat us. As you said, people will treat us based on what we allow. Yeah, so we have to raise the bar a little bit and the treatment will improve. Absolutely.
I've seen this advice be so hard for people who are only familiar with toxic relationships or even toxic friendships implemented in their life because they've never had healthy boundaries for themselves. Because once they enter that relationship or get that new friend, they are only familiar with the toxic treatment that they've always known. And when I hear their stories, you want to tell them, please set a boundary. Please don't accept less than you deserve. And it is a process again. And I love this reminder because it's something that we all need to be reminded of and start implementing in our lives. Now, what do you say to people who have started implementing? They're like, okay, I'm going to set this boundary with this person. I'm not going to let them do this. But then it's not being received well by the other party. And it seems like the relationship or friendship is on the line. What do we do?
Yeah. At that point, you have to choose. We choose whether we shrink back into the person that they knew before that made them feel more comfortable. Because change makes people uncomfortable. This journey of elegance, it makes people around you uncomfortable because you're not the person that you used to be. You don't think the way you used to think. You start valuing yourself more, and that makes, excuse me, that makes some people uncomfortable. Now it's up to you. The choice is yours. Do you want to remain the person that you were in order to be comfortable? Or do you want to continue to grow, to move forward and become the person that you see yourself becoming and also the woman that God created you to be? Sometimes we may have to cut ties. It may be difficult. It's not always, it's easier said than done many times. But there comes a point when we have to choose them or us. And one that I'd like to say to encourage, even if you let go of the toxic relationship, and this could even be with family, when you move on, God will always send the right people into your life. people that will build you and encourage you and help you to become that person that He wants you to be. So don't be afraid of of letting go of what's familiar. Move on. Keep going forward with Him because He will always be with you, never leaving, never forsaking, and He will always send the right people along your path to help you. So that's what I would say to those people. Make a choice and go brave. Go with God. You'll be all right.
When they give you that ultimatum, well, it's a subtle ultimatum where you'll have to pick between reverting back to the person that you were, so this person feels welcome in your life, or moving forward towards the person you can become. Hopefully, you choose yourself because we all should be bettering ourselves. And yes, when you set healthy boundaries, you are going to lose people in your life, but we have to remember even biblically, God used that isolation period to build people's character and they developed to be a better person for it. And God will always replace the people that we think we couldn't live without. Even though when we were living with them, it was so toxic. He always does bring in wonderful men and women of God if you pray for it. And I believe that you will find your community, a community where you don't have to experience toxicity over and over. So you have to set those healthy boundaries in order to find that healthy community that we each deserve. All right. So with technology and social media seemingly taking away from our friendships and relationships, how do you suggest we can build meaningful connections?
It depends on what we see as being meaningful. Now, every relationship we bring something to the table, whether it's friendships or otherwise. We bring something to the table, and of course, we receive something. Now, the value that we place on that relationship to us is what we see as being meaningful. Now, if what you're bringing to the relationship is something good, something positive, and you also want to receive that from somebody else. Now, first off, you have to become that person because we want to have good connection. Now, now if we do some introspection, we're going to see we have some ways that we can improve. Nobody's perfect. We see some things that we can improve, change about ourselves that could, because we want better. We want better friendships and things that last. The most meaningful relationship, it bears fruit and it lasts. Even for the season, whatever season it is, short or long, it bears fruit and it lasts. First off, we have to become that person that will form that connection, that will attract the kind of people we want to be connected with. And then when we do meet those people, we value them, we cherish them. And how do you form connection? Time. We have to spend time. Whether it's virtually, whether it's in person, that's the only way we get to know someone. Spend time with them. Talk with them. Get to know their likes and their dislikes. What are their dreams, their goals, their passions? What do you have in common? Share those things as well. Meet up in person when you can. All those things help to make a relationship more meaningful. You value it more because you made effort to really become what that person that you want to connect with. And then when you finally find, because it's rare that we find people now that we can truly connect with, and when we do, they bring something good to us, we give something good to them, we build together, we grow together, and we spend meaningful time together. So that's what I would say there.
That is a great tip because it's important that we build connection in a world that is disconnected more than ever, even because we're all connected to our phones more than each other. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to ask, how do we achieve that modest yet flattering style?
Now, what I like to share and I teach with my students, think of yourself as a diamond. Where do you find them? They're not on the surface like common stones. You have to dig deep. You have to find them beneath the earth. And when you do, they're still not beautiful. They have to be polished and refined. But when they are, they become brilliant and one of the most precious jewels that you can find. You have to think of ourselves as being like that, as being that highly valuable. When you value your body, of course, now you adorn it in such a way that says, I'm valuable. Now, modesty, Elegance equates to modesty. If you want to truly develop that elegance, and it's not just about external style or fashion. It has nothing to do with luxury or brands or money. It's how you see yourself. Yeah. And when that you develop that sense of self, of course, now you start dressing in such a way that expresses yourself modestly, meaning you cover your valuable assets, especially as women. The more covered you are, actually, the higher in value the outward perception is. Other people will see you as a woman who values herself more when you actually cover yourself more. And modesty can actually be very flattering. There are so many lovely styles out there that we just have to learn, of course, what looks good on us, what shapes our body well, and what colors suit us, what styles do we like, try different fabrics, but it's all about, again, that sense of value. When we see ourselves as being valuable, we're going to dress the part. Now, we're not going to put everything out there because if you actually think about it, and this is true, most women who dress in a very revealing manner actually have lower self esteem because they require outward and external validation. They need people to look at them, they need people to applaud, they need maybe men to gawk at them, but they will not be respected. Versus the woman who knows who she is and she does not need external applause. That woman would be seen as being more highly valuable. So again, it comes from in here.
Wow, you put that so well. Okay, so let's talk about personal grooming. How can personal grooming become an act of self respect rather than vanity?
Yeah, we're seeing it more and more as becoming something vanity wise, But personal grooming is part of self care. And if we think of self care, again, now all of this is tied in looking at yourself, seeing yourself as, you know what? This is one body that God gave you, one body that you have to go through this life. When you see yourself now as having to take care of this body that you've been given, and your mind, and your spirit, because we're body, soul, and spirit, self care now becomes a responsibility for an elegant woman. It's no longer a luxury. It's no longer something we do out of vanity because it can become vain if it's only external. But if we look on the inside, we take care of our bodies, we take care of our state of mind, we take care of our spirit through a relationship with God. Then we look at personal grooming as a responsibility. You know what? I'm going to take care of my hair. I'm going to dress my face because I take pride in my appearance. You dress your body well. You make sure that, your personal hygiene is in order. You don't want to offend, and, that kind of thing because, those things can be neglected. We get so busy with life that sometimes we neglect taking care of ourselves. So it's not vanity. It's a necessity. Every woman who desires to become her best self, stop. Take care of you. That's the only way you'll be able to pour out to other people.
I completely agree. Okay, so you write about emanating true elegance from the inside out, like we've talked about. And I remember that there was a popular discussion a while back that bonnets, the hat people wear, to protect their hair. There is a discussion that bonnets shouldn't be worn outside the house. And I also watched a video the other day of teachers dressing up like their students in their classes, and they were actually wearing pajamas because that's what kids wear to school these days. So, what do you say to those believing that practicing elegance gives an appearance of being out of place in a world that's literally more relaxed with how we carry ourselves now?
Yeah, good point. See, now what I would say, first off, when we think of that term relaxed, I think what I would say there is that we've become so relaxed that we just drop the standards that we have in terms of our outward appearance, even in public. Like people just don't care anymore. Because when we look at society, we see the sense of self-worth within youth and even adults, it's dropping, it's dipping. The same way that we're so connected to technology, we're losing that sense of identity. And because of that, you see it filtering through. People don't care to dress well anymore. They don't care to express themselves for who they are because they don't know who they are. Yeah. Now, what I would say, I agree that bonnet should not be worn in public, simply because it's for home. The purpose of it is to cover our hair, keep it moist, whatever that is at home. And pajamas are to be worn for bed. So there we see there's a little break in discipline where things ought to be. That's order. With order, there is a place for everything and everything in its place. But when we begin to put everything out of order, that's why we see everything now looking so crazy. So the person who practices elegance seems to stand out because elegance is about harmony and having that balance. So when we see people who are put together and having balance from the inside out in a world where it seems to be anything goes, that person obviously stands out. Now, I would encourage every woman who's looking at this, be your best elegant self because we have influence. We always have an audience. We always have an influence. You don't know who you're impacting, who you're encouraging. You know what? I think I want to do a little better. Let me dress myself better. Let me carry myself with more poise. We have an influence. So let's continue to be that light wherever we go and not give in to what society says is the norm because everybody else is doing it. Know who you are, know the standards you have for yourself, and carry yourself as well.
Yes, it's completely okay to stand out, when it comes to how you carry yourself, like you said, in a world that wants to fit in with what everybody else is doing. All right. So, how can faith-based principles actually help shape our social etiquette and personal development?
Yeah. Social etiquette is all about respect. Respect for ourselves and respect for the people around us. Now, I love to integrate biblical teaching with it because how else can we truly know who we are unless we know about the one who made us? Unless we know about the things that he has for us, the promises he made to us. Sometimes I like to give scripture to encourage people. A basic one, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. When we're building up ourselves, looking at self-esteem, looking at things that may seem too difficult, we have to remind ourselves, what did God say? Is this too hard? Is this too impossible? No, with him all things are possible. So it helps to integrate into the mindset. It's not just about you. We're not alone because we can't do it alone. Sometimes we need to call on a higher power. So faith-based principles, biblical principles that I like to include, just help us to see beyond ourselves and to connect with God, knowing that he has a reason and a purpose why he created us. If we believe that he is our Father, then we see ourselves as royalty, so we carry ourselves as well. We speak differently, we don't blend in with the rest of the world, so we feel brave enough to stand out. Yeah, all of those principles tie in. So it sets the foundation that beyond ourselves, there's more for us than against us. God is with us.
Agree. If we, as people of God, start implementing how God writes in the Bible that we should be carrying ourselves, we will have more social etiquette as a result. So, how can people learn more about your school?
To learn more about the Diamond School of Elegance and Chivalry, you can find us on social media. Look for us on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see our website and all of the information there. So simply search for the Diamond School of Elegance and Chivalry. Social media, Facebook or Instagram. You'll find us.
There you go. Well, how can listeners get your new book?
Go to Amazon, search for Elegance from Within, Unlocking the Secrets to Graceful Femininity by Leah Lewis. It's available in ebook and hard copy, and for Spanish and French speakers, there's also an ebook available for them as well, so they can get the best out of it. So go to Amazon and enter the search for the book title. You'll find it.
There you go. All those details can be found in the description box. Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much, Mercy, and thank you, everyone. It was wonderful being here with you.
It's been wonderful having you on, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss a video.